Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Rise and Grind. And I'm 72 the Architect. And today we're going to talk about the battlefield. Are you fulfilling your posts? Stay tuned as we get started. Well, good morning, everybody. I'm back again. Today is a little out of my normal recording time and out of my normal um, uh, days that I would do. Usually I do Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, or Monday and Wednesdays on Rise and Grind. But right now I'm going through a little bit of restructuring, going to be going on to my new show coming up real quickly here, which I'm not ready to release the name, but we'll be upgrading from Rise and Grind, since Rise and Grind is pretty much genericized and a lot of people have it, but I have more of an articulate name, definitely to share with people. So I'm producing to you live on YouTube, and I'm producing live on the Breakout social audio app. So if you haven't downloaded the app Breakout, go to breakout.fm and find it on your social media, and you'll basically be able to find me. So definitely those will be the avenues. But what is today about? Now, today is kind of about, are you fulfilling your post? I ask these philosophical and stoic questions to really get you to really think about what actually is taking place. Not to be like trying to give you self-help, but more like, are we really looking at what matters and what is really the point of our actions? Or could you be really asleep at the wheel? Many people out there are talking about are you woke? And for a long time, that statement kind of baffled me. I will say that it did baffle me. And when I heard that statement, I was just like, are you serious? What more can you I mean, I'm awake, I'm listening, I'm talking. But as I dove deep into the question and dove deep into what people were saying, I started thinking about what truly matters to them. What are they trying to persuade me to think? And by asking me that question, how do I really answer that? Am I awake to what's going on in the world? What are things obvious? Am, so on and so forth. But that doesn't really matter about their point of view, because what matters to them is their conscious choices. Now, when I look at this question, I look at it several different ways. I'm looking at actually in a more complex manner. I'm looking at it, am I fulfilling my post in the campaign of my life, or am I just asleep on duty? That's really what I think about. Am I really putting my best efforts of my day in and my life to have outcomes that I really want to enjoy? And I think it's very important that a lot of us really evaluate that question on a daily. I feel like the best time to ask is when you just start getting up. The best time to ask, are you really available to what the best of your capacity could be, is ask yourself in the morning, what will I really want to put my best time into out of the day? Or am I rushing off, get the kids to school or get to work, get my pot of coffee in me, make it on time, not miss traffic? Those would be autopilot questions. Those are part of your processes in the morning. So when we look at actually at a daily, are you fulfilling what is in your modus operandi? What is your motive? Is it just to fulfill the slots and the holes and the dots and the tasks? Or it's really to make an outcome out of it every day. A lot of let's just say thought leaders, social impactors, influencers, they all want to do this by showing you pictures, sounds, affirmations, things like, I'll lead you the way out of being lost. And that's really at the end of the day, do you feel lost? I don't always feel lost. I knew from a long time ago what I always wanted to become. Now, the one thing that separated me from so much was, what was I actually doing to fulfill that, not goal, but post, that position. So if I wanted to become a doctor, a lawyer, an accountant, did I really put the real time in, or did I let my other actions distract me? So this is where I'm going to read to you a little bit of part of the Daily Stoic where I got this question. And on page 179 of this book, Ryan Holiday writes here, or he quotes Epictetus. He says from Epictetus's Discourse 3.24, he says, "Don't you know life is like a military campaign? One must serve on watch, another reconnaissance, another in the front line. So if it is for us, each person's life is kind of a battle, and a long, varied one too. You must keep watch like a soldier and do everything on command. You've been stationed in a key post, not some lowly place, not for a short time, but for life." Right. And I think that's very important. But if you didn't really get that, Ryan goes on to explain, says, the writer Robert Greene often uses the phrase as in war, as in life. It's an aphorism for working and keeping close because our life is a battle, both literally and figuratively. As species, we fight to survive on the planet, and indifferent to survival, as individuals, we fight to survive amongst our species, whose population numbers are in the billions. Even inside our own bodies, diverse bacteria battle, uh, vivere este mirati, to live the fight. Today, be fighting for your goal, fighting against impulses, fighting to be the person you want to be. So, what the attributes is necessary to win are these many wars: discipline, fortitude, courage, clear headedness, selflessness, and sacrifice. But at which attributes lose war? So this is where we lose: cowardice, rashness, disorganization, overconfidence, weakness, selfishness. And as in war, so these attributes matter in daily life. Now that's huge. It should be obvious, right? This really should be something that we have to be like aware of. But see, what I really love, if you want to read a book about, it's basically talking about drifting, where you're at your least and your distractions. Check out Napoleon Hill's Outwitting the Devil. And what I like about this book, if you want to dive into this subject, what I love about this book, that I'm showing here on YouTube, uh, is that he's having a metaphorical conversation with Satan, right? And he talks literally how the inner being distracts itself and goes far left or far right, but never staying center for too long. And as long as those impulses, those emotions, the leverages move you, then guess what? You will never fulfill your post. And it's like this phrase I heard from somebody, I think maybe it's from Matthew McConaughey. He said this basically, he says, when you're doing your worst, the devil don't care about what you're doing. Just keep doing the same thing. When you're at your best is when everything comes at you, cannons, ships, planes, whatever those thoughts are, comparedness. I'm not doing it good enough. I'm a perfectionist. I am this. I am not smart enough. Well, guess what? Those are all your own internal hell talking you into cowardice. It's talking you into disorganization. And the best way to tell is, I want you to look at your dwelling. Look at your home. Is it over clean or is it totally disorganized? One or the other will tell you something about yourself. Doesn't mean it's an absolute, but it's a strong indicator of what truly matters. Did you begin your morning with a grateful pleasure, or did you begin your morning stressed? And by the end of the day, you're so worn out. What do I really pay attention to? Do I pay attention to my kids? Do I pay attention to myself? I have to make dinner. I have to get things right for my partner. My contributions go endless. But the one thing, and I was even talking to my girl about this, and she kind of got mad at me, but I said, you know what? It is the one part of me that is proud to be selfish this way. And she goes, what's that? And I said exactly this. I said, I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to have those 3 hours for myself before anybody else. not before you, not before my kids, before everybody. Because if my cup is always empty, think about that. If you're always evaporated by the end of the day, and then you get down and sit down and relax, what are you doing? Scrolling up, down, right, switching to rooms? Are you watching something on television? Are you fulfilling yourself? Are you training anything? You don't have the energy to. The things that you said you were going to always do, the workouts, the exercise, you don't have the energy. So where do you begin with that? And it goes back to, I have to build discipline for discipline to serve me. And when I'm doing that, it takes a bit of courage to say no to everybody else. It does. I can tell you, trust me, my girl will look at me and she'd be like, bastard, how dare you? I'm taking care of our daughter 24/7. And you know, we need to be making more money. We need to be doing this. And that's her response, right? But if I feed that, that's an alliteration. That's her experience. So what she's going through with me. But if I look at it and I look at it, if I don't train harder and more disciplined, I can never have not just my own cup full, but a bottle next to me to pour into somebody else, right? We pour so much of ourselves into everything else but the causes that make us stronger, more intelligent, wiser in the long run. And it's very difficult to decide which is a priority. But see, that's where your clear-headedness and selfishness needs to work together so that when you do sacrifice, you know, at times, you don't need to sacrifice all the time, but when you do sacrifice, it's the right amount to where it didn't take your life. It didn't take your consciousness. Trust me, at 50 years old, I look back and I'm like, where did time go? And when I look at, am I fulfilling my post? Instead of critiquing or criticizing everything that I'm doing wrong, I'm looking about what am I doing right? Because the momentum to go uphill takes strength. It takes a reservoir. It does. I'm not telling you anything you don't already know, but I'm giving you reminders. So what can we do all about it? Be gentler on yourself. Don't be so hard every day. Don't measure yourself into things that you don't actually know. And when you criticize yourself, think about, if I'm willing to give myself a criticism, then where am I giving myself a pat? Because we don't think about that. We give our pats on the backs by somebody else having that power. And by that time, we're just depleted. If you really take time to say, I am proud of my works today, if I give myself the grace, some people use religion, and that's fine. I'm not going to say to do different. But when I say fulfill your post, it's not because of an exterior experience where the dialogue is not there. You do not hear God's voice telling you good job every step along. There will be maybe signals along the way, but it's up to you how you read those signals. It's up to you how you fulfill the plot. The battlefield needs to be looked at, not just the war. The battle, the war that's going right in front of you may be distracting you from the grander picture. There's times where people have arguments, pettiness, conversations that don't really matter. This person told this and they expect this person to adjudicate, but it doesn't happen. But what do you have in control? It's your own reasoned choice. It's your own words, your own thoughts. Do you ever think, like, when someone's pissing you off, it's like, okay, let me look at what's actually going on. I'm actually looking at what matters. So if, like, someone was, I was talking to a friend of mine and they were telling me about some drama and, like, the first thing in the morning, and I'm like, no, you wanted my attention. You got it. It was 5 o'clock. And I'm like, nah, I'm not going to be dealing with petty debates, you know? So that's where I stood, and I didn't want to alleviate my role, because if I don't do this, when I work today, when I put my best into my clients or the subject matter, or even when I call my girl to say, good morning, how you doing? When I greet people, I want them to know they're getting Jason the full effect, the full best, all that good stuff. You know, I want them to know that. I want them to know I'm being attentive for what I can allot my attention to. That's really the deal. So now I'm going to bring up Q&A. So I'm going to actually bring up, I'm live on Breakout. So I'm going to bring up a few people in case they want to talk about it and what they thought about what I'm saying. So hey, Ginger, good morning. Alton, good to see you. Caroline, also good to see you. And Stephanie, welcome on in. Now, since I brought you guys up on stage, is there anything that you guys would like to comment about what I was talking about? Just out of curiosity.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I love what we're talking about. And, you had asked us, what causes us to be stronger. And for me, it is definitely my relationship with God. And it's with my husband, the support of friends and family. And, as far as a dialogue with religion, of course, I know what it is, when you have a conversation, but I did look it up, and it also, in the Merriam-Webster dictionary, it says also a similar exchange between a person and something else, such as a computer, which I do think that is quite odd, because a computer does not have a conversation with you, but I feel as though, God speaks to me through wisdom. So I do feel like, you'd mentioned that some people say religion, but what about when a dialogue isn't there? But I love this conversation and what you're telling us.
Yeah, in just to define religion, this is by no means, I'm not attacking anybody, but a religion has several definitions. It's the belief and worship of a superhuman or powers, and especially God or gods. But it also is a particular system of faith and worship. It's a pursuit of interest to which someone ascribes the importance, a supreme importance. And so when we have dialogues with ourselves, you could be saying, yeah, I could be having a conversation with God. You could be saying that. And there's nothing wrong with that. And when we have that dialogue, that internal dialogue, not of criticism, but like which will put me in my best self? What are the things available to me? Now, reverence, dignity, strife, your trust, your faith. These are all things that are supposed to elevate who you are. So if you know that and you really think about what that is, it's not so much about God on the outside or God above or down below. To me, I would describe it as some people might think of this as weird, but imagine it being like Star Wars when they talk about the Force. It's around us. It's within us. It's all around us. It's always ever going. But when we look at what is actually taking place, are you, I have to reiterate this question. Are you fulfilling the post in your campaign of life? Or are you asleep on duty? And to get away from, as I discussed, the autopilot questions. I need to get to work. I need to get in the car. I got to make sure that, all this. It's a punch list. None of it has to really do with you. It has everything to fulfill duties for others, your contributions, your relationship, your contract for employment, to getting paid. So when we look at these things, however you have that internal dialogue and you look at what truly matters, what gets me clear-headed to make better decisions? Is it my coffee in the morning, or is it me waking up at the adequate time? If I'm waking up where I'm rushing out of bed, that's not the adequate time. If I feel like I couldn't get to sleep last night because I'm stressed out, well, what can you do to stop feeling the stress before you go to bed? Is there anything that you can do right now that is going to fix the situation? If it's not going to fix the situation of your long-term problem, you need to shift your mindset. Hard to do, but clear and as simple to understand. So good morning, Julie. I know you're a little late. How you doing? Welcome on in. So the question, as I was asking earlier in the beginning of the show, is, are you fulfilling your post in the campaign of life? And I'm glad I'm going to ask you this question, because you had posted something on your Instagram, a story, and fulfilling your dreams, so to speak. I saw you pictures with Hillary Rodham Clinton, Gary Vaynerchuk, Jim Quick, and your family, your kids. Would you overall say that you are fulfilling your post in your journey as of today?
I'm not sure. I feel like I'm a work in progress. I explain a little more, because I joined late.
Well, if life could not progress any further past today, have you fulfilled your dreams, your overall dreams?
I don't know. My dreams keep getting bigger, which I don't know if that's good or not.
It could be.
But
It could be both.
Exceeding anything I thought I would do. What?
It could be
Go
both.
ahead.
The way that go ahead. Let me pause.
Oh no. I mean, I just feel like I've exceeded anything I thought I could do. I mean, I always knew I could do it. I've exceeded kind of the reality of my life, and what does it mean by meeting and connecting all these people? Really, it means nothing. It means, I think, holding on to the energy of the experiences and doing good and leaving your ultimate legacy. I definitely am trying to do that better every day.
And see, that's interesting you say that, because what I saw in your post was, I am fulfilled what I've achieved. Doesn't mean you're fulfilled for all life. It doesn't mean every single thing, but I am fulfilled. These are markers. These are experiences I'm happy with. That's what I took from your post. And that's what I was if you never get a grip on your wants, you'll never feel good enough for the rest of your life. I'm a strong believer in that. If you don't limit your wants and you don't put a cap on it, doesn't mean you always have to, but if you don't put a cap on it, what are you ever supposed to be satisfied? How can you really be happy? And there is a message somehow in this world to not be satisfied with anything, because the lieu of, hey, there's always more. More isn't always better. Like, just because you say, like, you go to a buffet, does it mean you need to fill up your plate every round you go? Does that really help?
No, you get fat.
Yeah, that's gluttony, right?
Yeah. And it's funny, like, I was having a conversation with my husband. My goals, like, my husband's like, you should make more goals. Every day I hit my goal. I feel like every day I'm living my dream. Sure, I don't feel like I want more and more and more. Mm-hmm. I feel I can do more, but I never feel, I need to get like a Mercedes, or I need to sit on the council with the president. It will happen. It just, every day I just feel like I'm doing the things I'd love to do. And I don't know, I'd never have that like feeling of less than, because I think it's because I say yes to life and I just do. I'm a doer. Mm-hmm. Maybe I don't really think about it a lot. Sometimes that's bad, but I don't process or overanalyze. I'm like, all right, this is cool. Let's just go and try it. And I go and do it and then see what happens. Could be a bad thing and it can be a great thing too.
Yeah. And I like that, because, like, for me, what I put, it doesn't mean I don't have big dreams. My big dreams are written on my wall. I actually have a post board. It says, obstacles, goals, rewards, and lifestyle. I put it in those categories, and I'm looking at them right now. And what is that lifestyle that I want to live? It's not just to say I have all my needs from my family met. No, let's get real personal. And, like, I was thinking this yesterday when we were on the big idea, and I was thinking, I am exactly where I need to be. I'm feeling this. It has its struggles, but I'm excited to make a show with you and Dragon. I'm excited because why? Because these were the signs in the direction which I'm starting to restructure as a content creator, as a father, as all the things that I do. But this fulfills me when I work with people, doing the thing I want to do, deep down. How many of us really get to say, yeah, I'm exactly working. Bam, I know the obstacles. I know what's here. It's not giving me everything, but it's enough to create struggle and search and to be hungry. And matter of fact, I was watching the interview between Patrick Bet-David and Andrew Tate. And one of the things they said was a successful person keeps a level of hunger in their lives, because if you're fulfilled, you get lazy, you get overwhelmed, you're not happy with a lot of things, but stay hungry enough to appreciate the next time. And as we were ending the big idea yesterday, and I said this out loud, I said, hey, you know what? It's okay, Dragon. We will have more for the next time. And if you produce something once a week or whatever, it's okay for the next time. And that's how you drive interest, not just for yourself, but for your listeners. So the point of working today's best is really the key. Are you really putting the ingredients for your best, or are you going to be drifting for everybody else's cause? And if you don't get a grip on your wants, like, is there things that I want? Would I like to have a mansion style living? Metaphorically, yeah. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, but am I good with what I live with? I'm okay with it, but I'm curious to make what I'm going to be living in next, the next home I buy, to be really, I already enjoyed in my mind before I'm actually there. That's not fake it till you make it. It's like, hey, but I'm okay with what I work with. I don't lend myself out to so easy. And I think that's a big thing. Ginger and Alton and Stephanie, I don't want to pass you guys. Is there anything that you guys have heard in the conversation before or up to this point that you'd like to contribute? And what were your thoughts?
Well, good morning, everyone. Hope everybody's doing well. I was listening to you, and man, this is something I strive to do every day, even though I'm not presently into the I can say the field that I want to be in. For example, because I do a lot of stuff. I know I'm a minister, known a minister, but also I'm a mentor. I'm a coach. A business owner, father, a husband, all these things that I am. There are some things that, for example, I know that I can do more. As I look at it, like you said, I want to own my own business and have thousands and millions of dollars. But the thing is, it won't mean that I'm successful. But the thing is, like I tell people a long time ago, my mom told people that, hey, I don't see your son in the pulpit. I don't see him preaching at church a lot. And she said, well, Facebook, Instagram, anything that you see him on social media website, he ministering. And sorry for the airplane that you hear. So there are times that, like I said, I look at myself now, I may not preach every Sunday or every week, but I have the ability to still minister. Even like now, I always want to make music, and I found out a way that I was able to put my music on Apple Music, YouTube, and all the other websites and be heard. And I'm like, wow. But it's not me singing, but the thing is, I do voiceovers and some more stuff, and I'm able to get the message out there. And I tell people, I may not can travel to your country or travel where you may be at, that you may hear something that I do, but the thing is, I have the ability to release something to the earth that you're able to hear. For example, like I said, I do the things I do here, like the coaching and on the coaching, but also my rooms are here and other places I do my live speeches. I may not be able to draw many people, but I know if I can just get one, I did my assignment. I'm fulfilled. And one thing you said that, I think Caroline was saying that, where did I get my strength from? I get my strength from my hope in God, trust and believing that, hey, I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. And with that going on, literally every day that I get up, I strive to do better. I may not achieve nothing to the full content for that day before, but I guarantee the day after I am striving to do something better. And by the assistance of others, wisdom and knowledge, and me growing into the things that I learned.
But I have a
can get
question
there.
about that, Alton. I mean,
Yeah.
isn't kind of like what you're talking right about now, the contrast and comparison? Because to me, if you, whether, one thing I will tell you in broadcasting or podcasting, whatever it is, there's a lot of days I went alone, no listens, no nothing. But every effort produces an outcome. And the reason why I'm asking this is what I would like to encourage you to think about. You are getting outcomes, are these outcomes that you're getting, whether it's 10 listeners, 100 or 1,000 or whatever, you're venturing out into ministry, into places where maybe it's unfamiliar territory or unfamiliar persons. And if people are trying to ask you, come and be safe, can you sit with that? Because like to me, I think it's a huge, tremendous attribute to you if you're going to go minister to wherever, Facebook, here, anywhere. If you're going to go and do that, and that's what you want to do, you may be lonely, but eventually you will come across other travelers, other ears, and other minds. So, are you okay with that? Okay, he may or may not be able to talk. He's muted.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
There's a plane going by, so I'm trying to duck it. Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, yeah, it's a big plane going by. I'm like, okay, the plane stop. But I'm gonna tell you the truth. At first, I was like, hey, I'm not really reaching nobody. But when people just to reach out to me, like, hey, man, you shared this message a couple weeks ago, and it blew my mind. I'm like, I didn't know you was watching. I didn't know you saw it. Years go by, people be telling me like, hey, man, what you doing? Keep going, keep doing it. I'm like, what you talking about? I didn't know you was looking at my stuff, even like on TikTok and places. Like I said, with me, kid you not, at my job and even at church and other stuff that I do, people call me mobile because I can be stationed on. When I first launched my ministry, I was home in my bedroom on, I think I know, teleconference lines, and I was ministering to people in Pakistan and other places. I'm like, wow, they're calling in and they're listening and they're growing mental. This is before Zoom became Zoom. But the thing was, I was able to reach these people, and they're like, hey, man, thank you for the message. It was right on time. And then when I go do something local, hey, man, thank you so much. Like I said, no matter how I do it, if it's in person or not in person, I'm grateful for it because I know that if I can make a impact, you take the word impact, and that means to make a dent inside something that you can go back and leave somebody
or get some moving,
room.
maybe. Yeah, it gets something going.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the law of physics, a body at rest stays at rest. A body in motion, stays in motion. So whatever that dent, that impact, that got something moving, whether you were alone or whether you got a response from somewhere far away, you produced an outcome, whether you intended that or understood it at the time. It's like, and this is what's hard about, say, like podcasting and versus social streaming. The social streamer wants a lot of people in their room. They want people in conversation. They want to feel validated. They want to be heard. But when you move past that and you move to, like, I'm making a story, a lesson, an experience, that's when you just experienced, someone from far away or local who's basically made the saying, you know what, your difference, your work, though it may have not have been appreciated then when you did it, but now I do. And that is what I'm talking about. It's building the discipline even when you think no one is listening, and having the courage, the clear-headedness, and making the sacrifice now, to really make an understanding, so that when things mature, settle down, and people are approaching you, that's a big difference. I want to move on to Ginger and Stephanie, because my time is coming to a close pretty soon, but I wanted to be fair to you ladies, if you'd like to also comment.
I think one of the big things too that you're saying is take time for ourselves, because we kind of rob ourselves at night, staying up late and not saying ourselves to go to bed at a certain time. And then we don't wake up as early as we want to. And there's that alone time that you're talking about that we really need.
Yeah, it's very important. It allows you to recess, reflect. And if you don't take this time, that everybody else's demands will wear you out quicker than you can blink. And then you're doing things like, let's say, drinking a pot of coffee, spending $15 a day on Starbucks energy drinks or some kind of sustenance to give you a boost, eating bad food, believing bad things, letting things pass your attention that could have been benefiting you. So yeah, it's important. Anything else?
Could I add one thing?
Sure, go right ahead.
Sure, go right ahead. As a content creator, I do my rooms in my Tribe Splintered Minds, and I focus on dementia and narcissism. And you mentioned there are times when you do your radio show where you may not have anybody there, and I know what that feels like, because I don't get people coming to my rooms. I really don't. One or two here and there, and some people just pop in for a minute and then they leave. But that's okay with me, because it brings me happiness. And I do feel fulfilled because of health reasons, I cannot work outside the home anymore. And I'm a registered nurse. So through my content creation and teaching others about dementia, I'm still making that contribution to society. And, it really meant a lot to me one day when you mentioned in another room that you were in my room, and you learned a couple of things that you didn't know, and you have parents who are getting older. And so, even if just you help one person, it matters. But yeah, so I do understand that, and it brings me happiness. And, like I said, I just, I feel fulfilled doing it. I loved teaching. So I just wanted to add that.
Oh, yeah, no problem. And that's the thing, is we are not telling people enough of the good things. Like when someone makes a social impact on you, they may be touching on your life later. Like, think about it. What if you're 20 something, your parents are maybe 50, and they're not in the dementia state, but maybe your grandparents are, or, you're noticing things a little off. When you're learning from people, about real experience, not stuff that you can read in a book, but I'm talking about like real experience. And you're going through that. How do you deal, like, even just to touch on your subject, how do you really deal with a parent or a loved one that is losing their mind and it's no fault of theirs? How do you deal with your emotional struggle and still maintain all the things that you're in charge of, the life that you really are living, and the one that you truly desire that you really can enjoy. And it has to have a destination, but it doesn't mean there's not going to be distractions. It doesn't mean that there's never going to be leverages. It just means that, you know what, as things come, I build up my resilience. I build up my fortitude. I build up my clear-headedness, my selflessness, my sacrifice to take care of my loved ones. That's very important. So I think it's something that if we don't get a grip on, as people keep complaining, well, the world's going to shit. Excuse my language, but it's going to crap. And I say, no, it's not going to crap if I don't believe it, because you know what I'm doing in my life matters and makes a difference to other people. And that takes a lot of freaking training. It doesn't mean I never get weak, but imagine, like I was saying, I was watching Andrew Tate's interview with Patrick Bet-David post prison. And he was saying, he's like, when you're in a 3x5 box for 93 days, you can't go anywhere. You can't have exercise. Imagine what the tricks of your mind will play on you. You cannot get away from your thoughts. You cannot go walk. So imagine putting yourself in that metaphorical box yourself. Are you training yourself? How can I keep calm? How can I keep things in frame for me? Because when the road of criticism starts in your head, the self-doubt, the fear, when it gets moving, it gets that ball moving, it takes another big boulder to stop it and shift if you don't get a grip. And that's something else. Ginger, is there anything that you'd like to contribute, and to be fair to you? And she may not be able to talk, but that's okay. But anyhow, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for coming out. I know this is short notice. This is out of my normal recording time, but you know what? This is the beauty of it. I can record anytime I want. I can put time into this. I'm pouring out what I've been given. And to me, this is just another practice session to make my message, to make my show exist, to make me a better speaker. It's another rep. It's no better, it's no worse, but I'm very happy that you all have come into my room, that you've taken the time to listen to what I have to say, and I listen to you. So before we leave the show today, I want you to think about, from now until the end of the day, to where you don't have to work or contribute to someone else. I want you to think about what are the things that will make your battlefield easier to handle. And that means the discipline. How will you build a little bit of fortitude and taking courage and talking yourself into doing versus not doing? That's what I like to encourage. Any closing notes from anyone? Any thoughts? Even you, Julie?
Hey, this is Ginger. I was driving. I couldn't get to the button. This has been, excuse me, a really interesting topic, and I just want to thank you, because I have a decision that I've been contemplating, and this really helped me bring it to its finality. And I want to thank you for that, because it essentially, when you were talking about the cup, it brought back that the Zen proverb about where the guy went to. Now this is my paraphrase. Okay. So when the guy went to go see the Zen master, and they sat down, and the Zen master was pouring him a cup of tea, and the guy was talking and talking and talking, and he didn't stop talking until he noticed that the Zen master had not stopped pouring the tea, and the tea was overflowing, and it spilled over the rim down to the table. Just, it continued to go. And he said, stop there. You can't possibly put any more tea in that cup. And the Zen master looked at him and he said, this cup is you. And until you empty yourself of yourself, you're in no position to learn. So that's what it brought to my mind. And I just want to thank you. I've come to a decision because of this, so you'll never really understand how it impacted me, but thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Any other closing statements that anyone would like to share before I end the show? Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for coming out. I will be back on, I believe, Friday. I will be calendaring a show, and Mondays. If you have not had the opportunity, live on YouTube, there will be a show called The Big Idea. It starts Monday at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10 a.m. Eastern, live on Breakout and Clubhouse. Clubhouse, the house, is called The Big Idea. That's one that I made up. Everyone's welcome to join. But every Mondays, Dragon, Julie, and myself will be having a thoughtful discussion for 1 hour. And everyone's welcome to contribute, to be a part of, share, like, join the house. Everyone's welcome. Only thing we ask is be respectful, be mindful of each other. Have a great time, bring your best selves. And that's all I can say. All right, y'all, have a great day, and we'll see you next time.